Hello and welcome. In the last short video I hopped around the corner from Courchevel to Meribel. Here I am landed at Meribel. I actually tried to put a bit of commentary on the last video, but I didn't have my mic enabled properly, so unfortunately that got lost. But you saw I made a reasonable landing, and now I've turned the aircraft around, as you can see. And I'm going to try one more hop into the next valley along. So there is, in fact, I didn't know this, a little airport, or I call itself an altiport, at Thorens, which is at the top of the, if you're looking at them on a map facing north, the leftmost valley out of the three valleys. It shares a valley with the resort of Les Menuires a bit further down. And I had a look on YouTube, see if I could find any pictures of or videos of planes landing there, and it seems to be a snow-covered runway. There was the one video I could find was of a plane landing on like snow skids, and trying to identify it on Google Maps kind of led me to this. That's the closest thing I could find in Thorens that looks like a runway. Certainly nothing else really stands out, and it is aligned along the same axis as the Thorens airport is supposedly in the game. It might be that it's seasonal, and it's very likely that my aircraft is not suitable for landing on that runway, but we're going to give it a go anyway. Just to recap, we started off a little bit earlier here at Courchevel, which is one of the showcase airports in the game, and features quite a difficult approach and an interesting takeoff. And in the last video I looped around here and landed here, which is where we are now. And so I'm going to take off, and I'm going to do kind of the same thing as before. I'm going to loop out of this valley and then into the next one, but to complicate matters slightly, this valley is longer, it's quite narrow, and by the time we get up to Thorens at the end of the valley, we've somehow got to execute a turn to line up with this runway, because the runway is not, if this is the runway, it's not aligned with the axis of the valley. So this will be pretty challenging. I expect it's going to end in disaster, but let's find out. So we're in the cockpit. I have parking brake currently set, so I'm going to leave that set for now, because this will be a pretty fraught takeoff either way. Flaps are already at takeoff, and otherwise we're good to go. So I'm going to let the power build, still on the brakes. Bring the engines up to full power. Let that stabilise. And release the brakes. And let's see if I can get off this runway in time. The rotate speed of this aircraft is about 80 knots. So if we don't achieve that by the end of the runway, we may not be flying. But let's find out. That's coming up quite quickly, so that's going to have to be a rotation of about 70 knots. And I'm losing altitude, losing altitude, losing altitude, losing altitude, 80 knots, pulling back quite hard. And we seem to be, if not safely away. Gear up. Looks like Meribel Centre down there, and this little town at the bottom of the valley is Brive-les-Bains, I believe. And you're up that way to Courchevel, and around this corner here to Les Menuires, and eventually to Thorens. And over the other side of this big hill here, you have the area known as Paradis Ski, so Les Arcs and La Plaine. Down this little town nestled between valleys, I believe should be Moutier. Maybe wrong on that. Anyway, let's start making a left-hand turn into the next valley. Nice bank. Probably don't need full power at this moment, so I'm going to throttle back just slightly. I'm still at flaps 1. I'm going to stay at flaps 1. Just to give me a little bit more stability, I think. It's probably not how I should be doing it, but that's how I'm going to do it anyway. Rolling flat. Now I need to climb a fair bit here, because Valteron is very high, so maybe I will go back to full power. Lovely scenery. Must come back and do this again in winter. Nice day in the Alps today. Nearly 25 degrees. I haven't set my barometer properly. Oh well. I think we should be coming up quite quickly here on Les Menuires. There's certainly the first bit of Les Menuires. Actually, this might be, looking at Google Maps, St. Martin, just before Les Menuires. I actually remember this little switchback in the drive I've done up here so many times before. It's cool seeing that from the air. Continuing to climb as we head up the valley, having to pull back on the stick a little bit just to kind of keep it at a roughly level altitude, like above the floor of the valley as it climbs. Probably should be doing that with trim, but I'm not going to bother at the moment. And I've still got my flaps down, which I'm sure is bad practice for all sorts of reasons, but just how I'm going to roll today. This coming up now is Les Menuires. Look at that. There are tennis courts in Les Menuires. I didn't know that. I assume those are tennis courts. You can see the chairlifts down there. Coming out a little close to the left-hand side of the valley here as we continue to climb. We should round the final corner as the resort of Valteron comes into view. There it is, you can just see it. The next question is, where is the airport? Having to pull back quite hard now to continue the climb, which is probably not an optimal approach. I want to go flaps up to see if that helps with my airspeed a little bit. do have the taps wide open as the terrain here is really quite steep. I imagine this is not what a professional pilot would be doing. So I'm looking for a runway kind of below me now. I think I've left enough room to turn back down the valley if I need it, and I am now accelerating again, so I'm a little bit happier about that. But obviously I'm not going to be able to land on this pass, it's going to be a bit exploratory, because I just simply don't know where the runway is supposed to be. Nothing is immediately springing to mind as a good spot to put down, so I'm looking back at where the GPS beacon is pointing me and I don't see anything in that direction. Interesting. Execute another turn. Aha! I think that stretch there is what I'm expected to land on. That is going to be challenging. Let's give it a go. Thorens down there. So I'm going to go back to flaps 1. Now start reducing the power. Take a look over my shoulder, see if I can see it. No, it's kind of gone again. Way too much airspeed. So I'm running on a kind of downwind leg now, I guess. There's a sort of flat surface up there. Not liking the look of this at all. I'm going to do something slightly different. Full power. And let's roll to the left over this bridge here. Yep, that's it. Not really certain which direction I'm supposed to approach it from. The other way. I think this little ridge is going to prevent me from making an approach from this way, so I'm going to have to roll around again while shedding a lot of airspeed and hoping I don't stall and die. That is an aggressive bank. I think I know what I'm going to do. Another very aggressive turn. So go full throttle here to make sure I make it over this ridge. That's almost a stall. Rolling out back into the cockpit. Now I'm going to start throttling down, which seems mad, looking at where we are, but that's what I'm going to do. And I believe this should pop me out not too far from where I'm intending to set down, but let's see. No, I'm off. I'm off. There it is. Gear down. Flaps 2. This is crazy, but we're going to do it. Left rudder, rolling onto the runway, air quotes, and down. Brakes, 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 into a stream. And parking brake. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, I'm going to call that a win.